So guys, before we get into the videos I've got for you guys, now take a look at this image. Someone tweeted asking after this mama if she survived the attack that happened in Kwara Church. Yes, she survived. You can see the activist Harrison from Delta State visited her to show her love and also to praise her for her bravery. So guys, yes, this mama made it in that attack. She was not among those that were killed. Now let's move into what is happening. You can see from this headline here that the federal government has ordered closures of school. It says breaking, federal government orders closure of 41 federal unity colleges over security concerns. So guys, the government is now bowing to the pressure from these terrorists, because you need to see what is happening in the north. The north has been overrun by these terrorists. Now this is coming from Katsina. It says the Katsina state government has ordered the immediate closure of all public schools across the state following escalating security threats and banditry attacks reported in several communities. They can't manage it anymore. They say schools should just close because of the rate at which, I don't know if you have seen the number of these terrorists in some of the videos. They are in their thousands in Nigeria. We've been told that they were brought into Nigeria for political reasons during the time of Buhari and they refused to go back. Now Nigeria is facing the wahala alongside the out-of-school children we have in Nigeria. Many of them have turned 18, they have turned 17, they have turned 20, and they don't have job, they don't have skill, they've entered the bush and they've been given AK-47. So guys, this headline here says Niger State government blames St. Mary's School for mass abduction of people. The governor is blaming the people for going to school. Can you imagine that? Instead of them to take responsibility for failure of protecting their people. Now, this one here says the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Niger State chapter, Most Reverend Bulus Dawa, has confirmed that 227 people, including teachers and students, were abducted from St. Mary's Catholic Primary and Secondary School in Papiri, Niger State. 227. So guys, I don't know if you watched the video I posted before now. An eyewitness said her mother saw an airplane airlifting these children. So the terrorists came with an airplane to airlift these children. So guys, you can see what is happening in Nigeria. This country is really, a country of concern. Now, this is coming from Reverend Dachomo. He said, they are threatening me, watching my moves from Aso Rock. Evangelist Dachomo asked Tinubu's aid to stop intimidation. He said that he's been threatened for exposing genocide that has been happening for years. People have been dying, Nigerians. If you can remember what happened in Benue State during the time of autumn, so many buying have been going on. Christians have really suffered in the north. And now that they are being exposed, the government is angry with that rumor. Can you imagine that? Now, take a look at this headline here. It says, Nigerian army withdrew soldiers from school before abduction of students. This governor of Kebbi State is saying that the military men were withdrawn before those bandits came, meaning that an insider in the military is informing the bandits on when to strike. And you can also see it here captured by Channels Television. It says, identify who ordered soldiers withdrawal before Kebbi school girls abduction. Governor tells military. Tell us, why were the army people removed? The military men who were there to protect the school, they were removed before these bandits came and abducted all those girls. So guys, have you even heard that there are 2 checkpoints, military checkpoints close to the school? At the time of this incident, they said the military men vanished, meaning that an insider is working with the terrorists. So guys, this country is having a very big challenge. Now, this military man is telling the world that the military is tied, that most times when they see Bököharäm, they will not be given order to buy them. And that is why Bököharäm is still doing what it's doing. I'm going to allow you to take a look at the video. Now, see this headline here that is even more worrisome. It says, Fulani came to our village and killed 7 people. When our youth rose to defend our people, the Nigerian army stepped in to protect the Fulani terrorists and in the process killed many of our people. They've been always something like this. People will say the military is helping the terrorists. I mean, the military is complicit in all this. Now, this headline also says, how is it that the government still can't identify the individuals shown clearly in this video? He's talking about the bandits. With all the surveillance system, digital tools, and security agencies at our disposal, apprehending them should not be this difficult. Something is wrong somewhere in this country. So guys, if you know the number of these bandits, you must have seen them in different videos. They come out in their numbers. You'll be wondering, how come they go on TikTok live and they are doing giveaway on TikTok? Have you heard that? To that extent. And still, we can't trace them. The Nigerian government can't trace them. So guys, a whole lot is happening in this country. Now, I'm just going to allow you to take a look at some of these videos just for you to know what is happening in Nigeria and just for you to get more updates. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification for more updates. Now, take a look.
Sorry.
Pẹ̀lẹ́.
I say make I come greet you. I come from there.
Àti Delta ló ti wá.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ náà. They carry in person too.
Wọ́n ní sẹ́ gbéyàn yín kankan.
The woman you say the camera you saw.
They carry any of in person?
No.
Get their street. They carry
Mama, I bring small gift for you.
Pẹ̀lẹ́.
I beg. Now, these are for treatment, yeah? Okay. These are for treatment. I'm not give you from my heart. I give you for treatment.
Mama, ẹ má dìde, ẹ má worry, ẹ má dìde, ṣé gbọ́, ẹ má dìde, ṣé gbọ́, ẹ má dìde, ẹ má dìde.
This will happen, go end.
Show this screenshot.
Go end.
Ẹ má dìde, ṣé gbọ́, ẹ pẹ̀lẹ́.
Now we beg the government to see how they
ẹ pẹ̀lẹ́, mama, ẹ pẹ̀lẹ́.
Yeah.
Ẹ pẹ̀lẹ́.
See you for video, and my heart touched me. I say if I come this town, I will come. I will first come.
Ẹ pẹ̀lẹ́, mama.
Yeah. Everything will go better. Everything will go. People when they carry, they will come back.
Yes.
That will now be our prayer. And we'll be here till they come back. All of us will celebrate.
Yes,
nobody will die.
Yes,
yeah. So I beg. So my mama.
Ẹ pẹ̀lẹ́, mama. Ẹ pẹ̀lẹ́.
Somebody says, Reverend Dachomo, stop exposing the government, your own government, your country. I say, oh, so I'm now exposing my government, in which they are watching me right inside Asoro on social media. Then I say, what of me? That the same government expose us to Fulani killings by refusing to stop Fulani from killing us. Are they not exposing us to them? Their silence is exposing the Christians all over Nigeria. Now, the Bököharäm, the Iswap, that they are divided, they are rejoicing, they kill because they know the government cannot do anything when they kill us. They have exposed us to Islamic terrorists by their silence. Not only silence, they came out publicly and say there is no genocide on Christians. That is another exposure that we are lying. I was at the gravesite from Abuja today. When I was just climbing Hawan Kibo, a phone call comes and say, Reverend, have you heard what is happening? I say, what is happening again? I told they have attacked another one, and that one is more attack. It's more stronger. Sheikh Gumi, the son of late Gumi, that used to go and bargain with terrorists. He came out and said, all the corpses that we buried is a lie. It's only coffin. We buried coffin. All of them, they are empty. I've nailed his name. He must appear through Interpol. Even when he hides in Saudi Arabia, already they have, even if he hides in Saudi Arabia, I'm very sorry for him. They will fish him out. He will appear in the International Criminal Court of the world to come and testify. And I want they will put high delegate together with Minister of Defense, SSS of Nigeria. They must be at the grave. I've told the youth in the village to guard the village, to guard that tomb. Because very soon, they will send their machineries to come and dig the grave in the night and remove evidence. The security men that are working in that village, I said they should help in guiding the village, the tomb, the monument. And I want the chief judge of Nigeria must be present. If really they want sincerity, factual, they should be present. Chief of defense, chief of army staff, GOC must be present. Let us dig the grave and see what is there. Who is lying? Turning my tears to become a hypocrite dress. There is an empty coffin. God of vengeance will fight. Go to my Facebook, you will see me crying at the grave. I command the grave by the power of Jesus to release her anger, to hunt down Shegumi wherever he is. He will never know peace.
You see all this problem? Mr. Bola Tinubu, you are the cause of it. You caused this problem. You give the audacity, you give the permission for this man, the Trump, the president of America, to come and start threatening you. I'm telling you, you are the cause. Because if the first time you give us order, you give us permission to fetch out those useless Bököharäm who claiming Islam, claiming Muslim, by now it's a story. But he fucked up. When we go to the bar, we saw the Bököharäm boys face to face, but we are waiting order from the army headquarters. What the fuck? This is bullshit. So that's what make this Trump have the mouth to come out and say he wants to come to Nigeria and fight against Islam. Okay. So you Tinubu have to wake up. If you like, you better wake up from sleep you are doing. Because we are ready to quench the fire. We don't need any American. We don't need any other country. Nigeria, we are the highest and powerful soldiers in Africa and the whole world. So I am giving you an advice, Mr. President, that you give me the power to enter anywhere where those banditries, those IPOPs, those Bököharäm, ISWAP, whatsoever, I am ready. Me with my boys, I just want a permission. I can go to bush, all these bushes, and clear their out, bring back those who were kidnapped in those areas. Is that very, very clear?
Doing. 4, reactive and not enough.
Let me say this. It is very easy.
Does this government feel guilty in that regard?
No, it doesn't.
That you are not doing enough?
No.
That you are complicit by keeping quiet or looking away? And that a particular ethnic and group of people. How difficult is it to identify those who are killing innocent Nigerians?
Well, it's sometimes difficult. You remember that this is not a conventional warfare. These people come into where there is a large concentration. In some cases, some soft targets. They come to areas where, people are largely unarmed and they perpetrate this crime and then they run away. But in most cases, they have been apprehended. I think sometimes we forget about some of the successes that we have recorded in the fight against these, bandits, criminals, and some of these jihadists. We've had a lot of progress in that direction. From May of 2023 to date, over 13,500 500 of these criminals. These are figures from the security agencies have been neutralized or taken out of our society. 13,500. Over 17,000 of them, have been apprehended. Many of them, even as we speak today, some of them have had their days in court. Some of them have been sentenced. Last week, the masterminds of the crisis that we've had in the past, the conflict we've had, some of them have already been, Ansaru leaders that were abducted, internationally, wanted by the Americans, by everyone, through the coordination by our security agencies. These people have been apprehended, sentences have been given. I think that we should recognize that.
Nigeria is the #1 nation on earth for Christian genocide, by a factor of 10. More Christians are killed here for their faith than anywhere else in the world. At the same time, Nigeria is home to 8 of the 10 richest pastors in the world. And I think those things are directly correlated. The body of Christ in Nigeria has all the wealth, all the resources, all the people, all the influence it needs to clean this place up and make it a wonderful place, safe and secure and equitable. The body of Christ has that, but there's a virus that has infected that body of Christ, what we call the prosperity gospel, which is really a satanic teaching that takes the attention of believers off of Jesus and off of serving others, and it puts them on themselves and their own bank account. And I did a lot of research and asking people I know and trust here, who should I speak with about this? Who is leading the charge to speak the truth? And they said, Dr. Damina.
Meanwhile, one of the leaders of the Islamic State West Africa province, Husani Ismaila, has been convicted of terrorism offenses and sentenced to 20 years imprisonment by a federal high court in Abuja. Justice Emeka Nwite pronounced the sentence on Tuesday after Ismaila, also known as Mai Tangaran, pleaded guilty to a 4-count terrorism charge brought by the Department of State Services. The prosecution said Ismaila coordinated the 2012 attacks on multiple police facilities in Kanu State, in which many were injured following his arrest. In August 2017, the trial suffered delays before the DSS called 5 witnesses. Ismaila changed his plea to guilty after the 5th witness testified. Well, you see this? His 20-year sentence will run concurrently from his 2017 arrest date. The judge also ordered Ismaila must undergo rehabilitation and de-radicalization before being reintegrated into the society. And you see why I was able to juxtapose that tweet with this actual story, because this is the agitation from a lot of people, especially also in the Southeast. And, many people who, rightly feel like this was injustice meted on Nnamdi Kanu.
Absolutely. And all Nigerians, despite irrespective of region, have to have a voice. And all voices must be listened to, must be heard. I say this because earlier on I'd said that, that what a number of people have said in some quarters, including the former minority leader of the Senate, Senator Einaya Abaribe, is that it seems as if it was words like predetermined, it was an action against the region of the Southeast, that it was selective justice in some quarters. And when you hear cases like this terrorist who was convicted, masterminding acts of terrorism, who was given 20 years, you can then understand why people are saying that. I had to call Mr. Okpara to order earlier on during the interview, because I also don't feel that the ethnic narrative is good for national unity and to not further incite violence or aggression in certain parts. What we're trying to push is the spirit of national unity. But in doing so, part of that is to ensure that there's fairness and justice indeed across all levels, across boards, and there mustn't be a perception that people are treated differently based on which region they belong to. Now, names like the situation that happened with Sunday Igboho is coming up again. People are talking about terrorists from the north who are given 5-year sentences, and people who actually perpetrated large-scale acts of terrorism, giving kids gloves. In some parts, we even saw them being, given amnesty. We talk about rehabilitation, de-radicalization, and you ask, why is the same treatment or suggestion or solution not given to what is happening to Nnamdi Kanu and the Southeast? And so these are the questions. I don't agree with giving amnesty and, asking terrorists. I believe that terrorists should face the full wrath of the law across board. That's what I believe. And a number of people have called for that. You don't, and we've seen that it doesn't work in the Northeast. And so I believe that this is a very delicate matter. It has a political slant to it. Yes. It is very sensitive, and that's why even when we speak on this table, we're careful because we had to ensure that above all the, yes, there's the legal perspective, there's the political and personal perspective, but there's also the spirit of peace and unity in Nigeria, so that we don't further divide along ethnic lines based on what is seen as selective justice.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with you 100%. This idea of de-radicalization and reintegration of these terrorists, I believe it should be scrapped. You were going to say,
right, for you to take two different cases without really knowing the facts of the case and say, oh, this one, the judgment is too harsh. This one, the judgment is too soft.
Right.
No, that's not how
whatever
you analyze
circumstances
legal matters.
They are. Whatever circumstances they are.
Every case is determined on the basis of its own facts and evidence.
Correct. Whatever circumstances they are, this is what is brought out to the public. This is the perception that is brought to the public.
But I think also it's important to remember, I know you want to speak, but let's also remember that one of the major things that played a part here was that the judge felt that there was no sign of remorse.
Well, also he didn't present a defense because he chose not to present a defense. So he didn't really have a proper trial.
All the terrorists convicted in the North Show, was there a sign of remorse from them?
Well, we don't know. It was not tied.
Which is why we advocate for the transparency. In terms of perception,
I think the idea of the remorse doesn't really even affect here, because the reason why he decided to show mercy is because of the global perception of what the death penalty, seems in Nigeria especially. And I'd like to bring up also the topic of, Bishop Honor, who we discussed last week, where he talked about the fact that, terrorism, there is a death sentence for it. How many people have we seen convicted, have we seen given the death penalty for these such heinous crimes that have been plaguing our nation for decades? But like you said,
one of the counts is treason.
Yes, right.
So that's why you have to look at the facts of
I'm talking about terrorism
instead of just general comment.
No, I'm talking about terrorism.
Individual cases.
Terrorism. One of the
was found guilty on terrorism.
Yes, so that's the point I'm making. Actually, terrorism. But anyways, in terms of terrorism, we're going to discuss the matter in detail.
There's treason
life imprisonment.
in one of the
20
counts.
years and that was 5 years.
In any case, we will, like you said, the matter will go on appeal, correct? Yeah. And this is not the end of the case. So we will follow up as always. Let's now take our story from Washington, D.C., where the U.S.-Africa Subcommittee on Thursday opened their public hearing into the review of President Donald Trump's redesignation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern. In an emotional moment, Congressman Bill Huzenga, who sits on the Africa Subcommittee, fights back tears over the killings of Christians in Nigeria while referencing his recent exclusive interview on Arise News. He condemned the Tinubu administration, saying they are sitting back and not doing enough. Let's take a look.
I went to school with kids from Nigeria. I've got neighbors who've been missionaries there, who have family there, who have friends there, who know this is going on. Yet we've got not just the mass media, we got people within Congress denying that this is happening, or certainly de-emphasizing it. It ought to be outrageous that it is Christians, moderate Muslims, anyone being terrorized by these radicalized Islamists in Nigeria, and we've got the Tinubu government sitting back and not doing enough. And I recently just was interviewed by Nigerian television, Arise TV, and that was really their question. Is the Tinubu government doing enough? And I had to answer, no, they are not. And I do not understand how a delegation can come here to the United States and downplay and come up with all of these other excuses as to why this is allowed to happen. It should be rejected and should be called out for what it is.
Meanwhile, Senior Fellow and Director of the Africa Program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, Oge Onugbogu, broadened the discussion by speaking about how the narrative of a Christian genocide in Nigeria reduces the country's insecurity to a single story, describing it as an oversimplification of the issue. Let's take a look.
A narrow narrative that reduces Nigeria's security situation to a single story and frames it solely as the persecution of Christians oversimplifies the issue. Religious and ethnic violence is driven more by governance failures and is worsened by hate speech and conspiracy theories rather than being just a singular conflict. Nigeria is facing multiple security crises due to religious extremism, banditry, criminality, resource competition, communal disputes, and separatist agitation. These issues are intertwined with history, poverty, and political contestation. The interplay between religion and politics in Nigeria is deep and complex. Leaders often romanticize the country's unity, but fail to foster it, as we saw in the divisive 2023 elections. As Nigeria approaches another national election in 2027, religion will once again continue to influence candidate selection, voter behavior, and campaign strategies.
All right, I thought that she was, in fact, the hero of the, meeting yesterday, because she actually really narrowed down in details what we are facing in Nigeria, the sort of terrorism, insecurity that we are facing in Nigeria. And she also raised this very, very important point about how this religion will play into politics coming into 2027. That is why it is so important that we address this issue head on, way into the electioneering time. And also, I watched the whole proceeding. I was sleeping in and out. But what got me was this young woman who came out to talk about the fact that 4 of her children, Mrs. Ape, during the Yelwata attack, these are serious, severe issues that need to be tackled and dealt with.
All right, let me take them one at a time. I begin with the video of Bill Hizenga, Congressman Hizenga, who seemed to be shedding tears. Riley Moore at some point, Congressman Riley Moore also said that he's having sleepless nights thinking about this. And I just say I think we should be careful about the tears of some of these people across the Atlantic, because they're also the same people who were hosting President of Syria, al-Shara, in the White House just a couple of weeks ago, who's responsible for persecution of Christians in Syria. But suddenly he's a friend of the house. So we need to be careful about the agenda that is currently being perpetuated in the US Congress. However, bringing issues back at home, this is why what Oge said was extremely important, because she emphasized the fact that what we need is to ensure we address, number 1, institutional weakness, number 2, political will. She said that if we can get our institutions here in Nigeria into the right shape, into where they need to be, and if we can summon up the political will, that Nigeria has the capacity to overcome this. Yes, engagement and collaboration is important, but it should be a Nigerian-led solution, and that a foreign-led solution may not bear fruits because, again, there's a lack of understanding of the deep intricacies of what's playing out. Now, as for connecting all of these to election cycles, I think we also have to be very careful about this because rightfully so, we've seen the pattern time and time again. It continues to play out as we're going, especially towards a heated election, a hotly contested election. Everything gets thrown into it, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's religion. Unfortunately, everything becomes permissible. Now, there's a concept that originated in Russia, which is called a color revolution, which I always highlight. Now, color revolution is when we manipulate real issues and challenges within a nation, and then we use them to catapult ourselves into some sort of political movement and ultimately regime change. I'm not saying that's what's at play here, but I'm saying that there are people who take advantage of our weaknesses, of our challenges, of our issues that we have within our own nation and use them for political game to try and achieve regime change. So what is the solution to all of this? The solution is that insecurity should be nipped in the bud, whether it be the girls who have been taken in Niger State, whether it be Niger State is children and teachers. In Kebbi State, it's the girls. Whether it be even those that are underreported, that are not making the headlines, that are living in fear. I'm surrounded, my domestic staff are all from the Middle Belt. I hear the phone calls they receive from home on a daily basis. It's not easy for them. They're constant worry for their relatives. So wherever in Nigeria it is time for leadership to step up. We're seeing ministers are being ordered to go to the theater. We've seen the vice president is in the theater as well. But the unfortunate thing is, these are all people who have experience with this kind of thing. Should it be repeating itself when we have people who have experienced this at the helm of power? Shouldn't there have been prevention based on their own experience with these types of challenges?
Right.
So we have to get our house in order.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Like you mentioned in Niger State, we have an unconfirmed number of students and staff who have reportedly been abducted at St. Mary's School, a Catholic school in Agwara, local government area of Niger State. Terrorists were said to have arrived at the school between 2 and 3 a.m. last night, and the school is currently determining the actual number of abducted students as authorities continue their assessment. Well, this tragic news comes as terrorists who were caught on live stream abducting 38 churchgoers at Christ Catholic Church in Kwara State are demanding 100 million naira per victim. According to our sister publication, the terrorists are already contacting the families directly. Dr. Bati, can you see what is happening now? We've also just gotten a statement from the Niger State government confirming the kidnapping at the St. Mary school. The secretary to the Niger State government, Abubakar Usman, says that they had asked all boarding schools to temporarily close as a precautionary measure, but St. Mary's reopened without seeking clearance from the state government. He also said that security agencies have now begun an investigation into the incident while urging residents to remain calm. I mean, only yesterday we talked about bring back our Kebbi school girls. 24 of them still in captivity at this point. Now we are hearing school children from the Catholic school in Niger State are abducted with their teachers. And then we're hearing that these terrorists that perpetrated the crime in Kwara State are asking for 100 million naira ransom. Did you see those guys in the church? I mean, what, even if you get 100 million, what are you going to do with it to even start with? I mean, these people are terrorists. Dr. Abati.
Well, I think it's most unfortunate that at a time when there is this concern, international concern, that Nigeria is suffering from, very serious problem of insecurity. And we've seen various dimensions of it at the congressional hearing yesterday in the United States. You had John James, congressman from Michigan, in fact referring to the nnamdi Kanu case. But there were others who disagreed with the mischaracterization that was involved in some of the positions. There was one congressman who was saying that there are jihadists, in fact, in the Tinubu administration. It had to take Jonathan Pratt from the Council of African Affairs to say, no, he doesn't think that there are jihadists inside the government. Then, okay, the man modified his statement and said, okay, the government is not doing enough and all of that. So you get all kinds of perspectives. And then you had Sarah Jacobs saying President Trump has no business interfering in Nigeria. On what basis does he want to interfere with the sovereignty here? But all these problems we have with school abduction, attack on churches, they reinforce some part of the narratives out there. Bishop Anagbe of Catholic Bishop of Makurdi, the Diocese of Makurdi, I don't know whether it is Catholic or not, but it's from the Diocese of Makurdi, gave a very graphic report in this regard. So the residual point is that the Nigerian government still needs to do a lot more to make our schools safe. Yes. They are closing down schools in Kwara. So those children, they will lose the opportunity to go to school. In Niger State, the secretary to the government, or whoever signed that statement, said, we had warned them not to reopen. It was St. Mary that went and reopened the school based on intelligence. So is the gentleman, is he blaming the school and blaming the children? In other words, he's saying that they made themselves available to be abducted. Should any child be abducted at all from any school? So that the reasoning in that press statement wasn't very clear to me.
No.
Because when you say in Kebbi, we were told that government had intelligence, and yet it happened. In Niger State, we were told that we also got prior intelligence. It didn't happen. It speaks to something about, you know, the ineffectuality of the security system in the country. And I think whether they are girls or children or teachers or ordinary Nigerians, we all must feel safe in this environment. Now, the military is overstretched. You have soldiers, they are the ones in the northeast, they are the ones in the northwest, they are the ones in the middle belt. What we're also seeing is that we don't have enough boots on the ground. We don't have enough personnel to secure this environment.
This is the point.
So, I mean, how many soldiers do we have in Nigeria? Roughly 300,000.
I was even hearing 177,000 from Adam Soshomale we heard the other day.
So if it is 177,000, how would 177,000 people
it wasn't a lot.
do police work? And meanwhile, the police, what are they doing? You know, security is supposed to be, you know, the primary thing for policemen. Nobody is talking about the role of the police in this. And then these people, they call it civil defense. They are also part of the security apparatus. Maybe, you know, they should be given more training, and they can help to protect as many schools as possible.
This is the main point.
So, because, you know, expecting that the military will do it all the time, and then we at every occasion we praise them. We say they are doing well for the country. But we need more men out there to govern ungoverned spaces.
I really love that point that you make, and I think that's the crux of the issue, really. I believe that only recently the military said that they're going to deploy, what was it, 10,000 or 100,000 more recruits, 24,000
to be trained in the next year.
Yes, that's what we should encourage.
No, not just recruitment. Maybe some soldiers who have retired, some policemen who have retired, who still have some energy. They should be recalled to service. This idea that if you have done 35 years, you can go. Some of them are still very strong. Let them go back to work and help Nigeria.
So guys, before we get into the headlines I've got for you guys, someone tweeted asking after this mama, the mama who was seen during the Kwara church attack that couldn't run to take cover. Yes, she made it. You can see that Harrison, the activist, went to visit her in Kwara State and, you know, to appreciate her courage. She survived that attack. So guys, now let's quickly get into some of the headlines I've got for you guys and videos. Now, this headline is federal government orders closure of 41 federal unity colleges over security concerns. So guys, the government is now bowing to pressure from terrorists. You can also see here, it says, the Katsina state government has ordered the immediate closure of all public schools across the state following escalating security threats and banditry attacks reported in several communities. Several communities. Nigerians, this country has been invaded. I don't know if you have seen the population of these terrorists. Have you seen videos that capture them? They are in their numbers. You need to see their numbers. I mean, it won't be it won't be an easy task, you know, ending terrorism in Nigeria, because they have invaded Nigeria long ago. I mean, it's going to be difficult, and we need to see that political will. Now, this headline here says, Niger State government blames St. Mary School for mass abduction of people. The governor is blaming the school for the abduction. And now, the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Niger State chapter, Most Reverend Bulus Dawa, has confirmed that 227 people, including teachers, students, were abducted from St. Mary Catholic Primary and Secondary School in Papiri, Niger State. So guys, if you had followed the video I posted before now, a lady shared, an eyewitness shared, experience that the mother cited an airplane that helped to lift some of these abductees. Can you imagine to that extent? So the bandits came prepared. They came with what they are going to use to pack the children and were not confronted. So guys, a whole lot is happening. Now, Reverend Dachomo has come out to say he is being threatened. Like this headline say, they are threatening me, watching my moves from Aso Rock. Evangelist Dachomo asked Tinubu's aide to stop intimidation. So guys, this man is saying that he's being threatened because he came out to speak. I'm going to share the video with you. But before then, let's take a look at more headlines. This one here says, Nigerian army withdrew soldiers from school before abduction of students. So guys, have you heard that? There were soldiers in that school and they were withdrawn before those terrorists came. The question remains, who is the one aiding terrorism among the military? Army men who were supposed to protect the school. And we heard that there are normally 2 checkpoints close to the school. Those army men were withdrawn before the attack. So guys, there is something cooking behind the scenes. Somebody must be informing these bandits, telling them when to attack and when not. And don't forget that the military men who were sent to go rescue these girls were also ambushed, meaning somebody told the terrorists that these military men were coming. They ambushed them and battered them. You need to see what they did to them. So guys, this Channels Television also captured this and say, identify who ordered soldiers withdraw before Kebbi school gets abduction. Governor Idris tells military, challenging the military. You must have also heard that the people in, okay, now this headline, this is a military man telling the whole world that is because they are not giving order to finish Bököharäm, that they will see Bököharäm, but they'll be waiting for order. Nigerians, I don't know where such a thing happens, that you saw your enemies and you want order to come before you start finishing the person. So guys, a whole lot is still yet to be exposed on what is really happening. Now, this one now, Fulani came to our village and killed 7 people. When our youth rose to defend our people, the Nigerian army stepped in to protect the Fulani terrorists and in the process killed many of our people. So guys, the villagers are still counting their losses and sharing how the Nigerian military is aiding terrorism, aiding these terrorists. So guys, a whole lot is happening in this country. And this one here is saying, how is it that the government still can't identify the individuals shown clearly in this video? With you are going to be watching the minister for one of Tinubu's minister who was asked, why is it difficult to identify these people? He said it's difficult, but you see, these people do give away on TikTok. They go live on TikTok, showing their faces, and they keep telling us that they don't know how to trace them. So guys, it means that we are not ready to end terrorism in Nigeria. Jihad is coming. There is something cooking. I mean, these people have invaded the country. Now, I'm just going to allow you to take a look at these videos. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.